Feedback management. Conversations can be challenging. Decoding what is said with what is meant can be difficult at times. Communication, on the other hand, is a necessary tool in today's world. Not only can speaking be difficult, but interpreting body language and other language barriers are just a few of the roadblocks to effective communication. It is not uncommon for one party to completely miss communication to another due to a misunderstanding between the parties. Most people learn to talk when they are relatively young, gaining in verbal capacity as they get older and engage in conversation with more and more people throughout their lives. And while most people will spend their time constantly speaking, some never really learn to listen, which is the king of effective communication. It may seem strange to hear such a thing as this, but it's true. Even though it may not sound true to the individual who just spent the last couple moments listening to some coworker blather on about his fantasy football picks, but it is. Without proper listening, speech communication would just be a lot of annoying sounds. Unfortunately, most of the time we spend listening, really is just the process of physically absorbing the annoying squawks and squeaks that come out of someone. The problem with listening is that it's so hard. It's even harder to listening actively. What's required to listen actively is more difficult to learn than it was to learn to speak when we were young. It's not something that can be absorbed through simply interacting with other humans. Active listening requires the receiver in the conversation to seek out among the speaker's words and try to understand what the speaker is really saying. To fish through the emotion, defensiveness, cultural differences and jargon. If it's so hard to listen, then it must be extremely hard to get someone to pay attention to what you're saying. One of the most important elements of communication is creating effective feedback. Whether by picking up on non-verbal cues or audible ones, feedback is important. Knowing that your message is being understood correctly is vital. Feedback, when done by the sender, allows the speaker a chance to make sure that the listener understands what is trying to be communicated. Some ways to use feedback is through closed-ended questions like, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" or "Did that make sense?" Another effective tactic is using an open-ended question, and through this method the listener will hopefully summarize the message you have been trying to impart, and in turn expose any misunderstandings between the two of you. Using a question like, "What do you think about what I've just told you?" or "What are your feelings on the subject?" are both effective examples of using an open-ended question in order to obtain clarification between the sender and the receiver. In the business world, feedback is even more crucial. Feedback from your employees, your clients, and customers plays an important role in creating and maintaining a business or institution. Making sure that they understand what you're trying to say, whether it's through management or advertising. It's important to know that, not only is your message getting through, but that it's being interpreted correctly. Once you've gained an understanding of how your information is being perceived and interpreted, you'll know how to proceed. Cutting of those things feedback has shown to be ineffective, and replacing it with solutions known to produce the results you want. Make sure that people understand what you are trying to say. Whether in marketing, management, or just everyday conversations. Through feedback, communication can be an effective tool in the world of business and everywhere else.